The Financial Survival Network, helping you survive and thrive in the new economy. Go to CarrieLutz.com and sign up for 30 free micro trainings on financial survival.
$14.90 WGCH. This is Carrie Lutz. You're listening to the Financial Survival Network. If you're wondering, is the advance in gold for real? Is there still money to be made in gold? And can you make money in gold? Then you want to hear what Jeff Clark of Big Gold, a Casey Research publication, has to say about it. Jeff, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Kerry.
Hey, it's great to have you on. So quickly getting to the point, because I know you're pressed for time, where do you see the gold market right now?
Well, if you're talking about the price, I think it's rebounded here a little bit recently. But what's interesting about gold right now is that there are many reasons to own gold. You can own it because of a supply and demand imbalance. You may own gold because it's a good portfolio diversifier. You may want to buy gold because a lot of the Chinese are buying gold and the price might go up. You might buy it because you fear inflation or even deflation. But the number one reason in my mind to own gold is the currency issue. And it's not just inflation per se that I'm talking about, but the fact that gold is the only non-fake money, if you will. I mean, it's all rooted in this. How exactly does the U.S. government and others in the G7, how exactly do they reduce their debt other than through inflation, or printing money or diluting the currency? Are they really going to grow their way out of these problems? I think that's highly improbable. So the easiest solution for these politicians to take is going to be to just continue the status quo, continue diluting the currency, promoting inflation, printing money, and that, of course, is good for gold. But the real issue is that even though the gold price is going up, it's just as much the dollars are going down in value. And so that, to me, is the primary reason to own gold. We don't see that trend changing anytime soon, and quite frankly, it could easily get worse. So it's the number one asset protector, and that's the reason to own it. So even though we're below what the peak was last September in price, that just means this is a good time to buy, a good time to accumulate. But all of what the government is doing makes me a temporary gold bug. I mean, I feel forced to be buying gold as a direct result of what government leaders are doing to our currency. It's the only way I know to really protect myself against what they're doing. And I don't want to be a doom and gloomer, but it could get ugly. And I'm simply protecting myself. I'm hedging myself against what could be, no guarantees, but what could be some very nasty, ugly outcomes.
And that brings us to the next question. So right now, gold is a wealth insurer, if you will, right?
Mm-hmm.
So are we going to be back on a metallic money standard? Is that the real money? Is that where the world is heading? Or are we going to concoct another paper scheme that'll tide us over for the next 40 years?
What's interesting is, I'm not the best historian around. Doug Casey's probably as good at that as anybody. But what's interesting is if you look back through history, we've actually been on some kind of metallic gold standard more often than we have not through mankind. So that tells you that the situation we're in today, where we have no major currency in the world today, is backed by gold or silver. So that tells you the precarious nature that we're sitting in, as well as the abnormal situation that we have, where we have no backing with our currency at all. There's a number of answers to that question. It could be the yuan becomes the next reserve currency. It could be a basket of currencies. It could be like an IMF, the SDRs, or something like that. It could be multiple currencies, or it could be a gold standard. And I think the modern day analyst and bank manager and government official today would not support a gold standard. And the reason is obvious, because it would impose discipline upon them. So, but we could have, things get bad enough, they may be forced to consider it. And it may not be a full-blown gold standard where everything is backed by gold, but it could be a temporary measure, or it could be a part-time thing where all our money is backed by gold, except if we declare war, for example. Then we have a law that allows us to go off the gold standard or something. But there could be any number of creative solutions that could come our way, all of which could be very bullish for the gold price. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, well, I think it's obvious the system is definitely breathing its last breath, its last gasp for air. And Martin Armstrong, who you're probably familiar with, has said that we can't go back on a gold standard because gold production isn't keeping up with population growth, which would mean we would be in a chronic state of deflation where the money becomes more and more valuable, which banks certainly hate because it's going to basically undercut the value of their loans and how much interest they can get and a whole host of things. Do you agree that it's unworkable, or do you think it can be done?
I'm not an economist. I'm not a trained economist, so full disclosure on that. But it is true that the gold supply does not increase as much as the population. The population is growing faster. That could change, though. More people are having 2 kids instead of 4 or 5 kids like they did a generation ago. But there's more to gold coming to market than just mining. There's also scrap. There's a lot of scrap that comes to market. We may not back, all currencies may not be backed by gold. So there could be some exceptions to that rule. So I'm not, terribly, I guess I should say I'm not terribly optimistic we're actually going to go on a full-blown gold standard, but I think at some point somebody is going to have to step up and say, hey, we need to impose some discipline. And so we may be forced to go on a gold standard simply because we've been living so far outside of our means. And even if that gold standard only lasts for 1 generation, that may be enough to get us back onto some kind of discipline where we're not spending beyond our means and we don't have to make our kids' standard of living suffer so much.
Yeah, we can only hope that they see the light, right? So that brings me to the next issue. We were both at the Vancouver Natural Resource Investment Conference, and we saw a lot of companies springing up all over the place, literally a gold rush on the Toronto Venture Exchange. And we saw increased attendance at a time when the price of gold has kind of been flagging in a consolidation period. What do you make of that?
It's very interesting because these conferences are usually very well attended and very crowded when the gold price is high or soaring. They're relatively not well attended when the gold price is not doing well. Well, the gold price has been flat after, last September's big correction. It's basically been in a small trading range. It hasn't really went anywhere. And yet, the Vancouver conference was very crowded. At our pavilion, we had standing room only for most of our talks. And there were probably more companies there than there usually are. So that's a very good indication that people still think this is the place to be. Where are you going to go to get return right now? Where's the best place for your money? And a lot of people are still coming to the gold sector thinking that is a place to be. So as far as the companies themselves, a lot of those companies are, with all due respect, not worth much. And, so you have to be careful about who you're following and who you're buying and that sort of thing and who you're investing your money with, because most of those companies will not amount to much. So you do have to be pretty picky when you go and choose what stocks you're going to invest in with these, companies that are, that have booze there and are promoting themselves. So, but the bottom line is, it was a very good sign for us to see that it was so crowded at a time when the gold price is just kind of languishing. So that could be a predictor of things to come.
Yeah, I think you're right on that score, because it's just like the stock market. When stuff is exploding, the prices are going way up, that's when people are interested, rather than when it's dull and boring, when you can get good buys, where your purchasing power goes further. So I guess it's like any other market in that respect. And you've got, yeah.
Well, we've had no bubble in gold. We've had no mania. We've had no, rush, no over participation. None of the true signs of a gold bubble have really occurred. So, I mean, I can tell you exactly when we're going to have a gold bubble.
Oh, yeah?
You want to know when we're going to have a gold bubble?
Yeah, I'd love to know.
Okay, this is when we're going to have a gold bubble. So I'm kind of a funny looking guy. I have red hair and I have white skin. I can't tan to save my life. I have freckles. So I'm a really funny looking guy. But I'm a gold analyst. So we'll be in a gold bubble when Eva Longoria calls me and asks me out on a date simply because I'm a gold analyst, in spite of what I look like. That's, ladies and gentlemen, when we will be in a gold bubble.
All right, I'm going to write that down, and we're going to revisit that topic, hopefully sooner rather than later. That's
right.
For sure. But yeah, I think you're right. The bubble is in the analyst's mind. I mean, there was an article in Reuters saying that gold would break $2,000 an ounce in late 2012, and that would be the end of its rise, the end of the gold bull market, because they said basically because they gave no reason. Not that monetary authorities are on Prozac and have regained sanity and gotten shock treatments. None of that. It's just that things will calm down. And that's the best argument I've ever seen for why this gold bubble is supposedly going to pop. And that's absurd.
There is no gold bubble, so something can't pop if it's not a bubble.
Exactly.
Most gold analysts have, the gold price, hitting $2,000 a year from now. And a lot of these traditional analysts, bank money managers and things like that, they're usually very conservative. So I think it's, pretty clear that $2,000 is going to be hit probably later this year and this fall, seasonally, when the price is strong. So, but gold's not going to stop there unless you think currencies are going to stop going down. So when currencies are healthy again, well, yeah, then maybe we should look at getting out of gold. But for them to say that gold's going to, arbitrarily stop going up when it hits some price, that makes no sense. I mean, the driver for gold right now, the biggest reason for gold is the currency issue. And until that currency issues reverse course and change, there is no gold bubble. There's no reason for gold to stop going up. The people are going to continue to buy it. And in fact, it could get even worse as currencies lose more value. If we get some kind of high inflation, or God forbid even hyperinflation, gold is going to soar. It's going to do much, much better, and it'll be a core asset. It'll be something that people have to own. That's the risk we have right now. So just arbitrarily saying, well, when it hits 2,000, some magical number, that's the end of the run, they greatly misunderstand the whole purpose and reason for owning gold.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you on that. And basically, if people want to subscribe to Big Gold and get your advice firsthand, where do they find you?
Just kcresearch.com, and then they can see all the publications that we have there. Big Gold is more of an entry-level newsletter for gold and silver, and it covers the producers only. So it's more of an investment newsletter, whereas what KC Research is really known for is our ability to speculate with the juniors. And that is a market you do need to know a little bit of what you're doing, and you need to be picky about what you're buying there. And of course, we have that's what we specialize in. So, but if you want something that's simple, easy to follow, great deals on bullion, we have deals on bullion almost every other issue. Producers that we recommend, we do recommend the best of the best, I think, and they're a great way to invest if you don't want to speculate. in gold stocks and things that you can just hold till the end of the bull market. So it's a very easy read and very inexpensive.
Well, sounds great, Jeff. Thanks so much for taking time out of your busy day and sitting down to talk to us. And we'll definitely look forward to having you on again in the future.
You're welcome. And yes, I'd like to do it again.
All right. Be well, and thanks.